It is not that in this value chain we are not doing our distributors, one side, another side our farmers. Then, for strategies to achieve goal, one initiative which we have taken, which is really paying us rich dividend, is we call it Koshin Cabinet meeting, which is a Japanese word, basically policy deployment. Twice in a year, all the key people, right from branch managers to the HOD, distributor, processing people, they meet. And together we decide goal of the organization in various areas. नया product launch करना, कोई GST है उसके लिए तो system में change करना, etc. And then each one in the organization sitting there decide his or role to achieve that goal. So what happens? Whole organization knows that next 1 year which side organization is running, so everybody has to contribute. No, then you don't need any further circulars or emails or anything. There, after finishing a meeting, everybody is given document in which his or her role is defined, which he or she has chosen. Then, quality circle meetings of our distributors and employees to discover. And one area which is really paying us, we call it Friday meeting. Everywhere, wherever you are, all employees sit 10 to 11, Friday meeting, talking anything. So, interaction among senior, junior helpers, PA, organizational sort of stuff. And a lot of other things that we have been doing, and I think you know much more better than this because you are the expert. So, what I like to, say while concluding is that if you want to make ageless business organization, you have to keep all the stakeholders happy, all the three, suppliers, consumers and employees. And organization has to be based on a very solid value system and right type of culture and DNA, which has been not right from the foundation days. And you have to come out with a business strategy which is long lasting, not on day-to-day basis. And I think if you take care of everybody and everybody is win-win, then only you can survive. Then only whatever changes are required in your organization, your system, your employee, you'll keep thinking evolving over a period of time. So with this, I think I have tried to share what type of people management Amul has been doing for last 70 years. I wish all the best for all the advisors. And also thank organizer Mr. Ajay Pani for inviting me and giving this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We are delighted to hear you. Amul has earned it and proved it. Its originality is the core recipe to manage people in any business environment, and the foundation of employee management is living the values and imbibe the culture, where integrity and excellence go hand in hand to be the best in any field. Hats off to Amul, and we actually all are proud of this taste of India. Thank you very much. Soul behind this HR convention. Presently, as Director Vadodara Diesel Services, Past President GEO, and Chairman Organizing Committee to bid the vote of thanks.
My colleagues, invited guests, and esteemed delegates, good morning. On behalf of Gujarat Employees Organization and the Convention Committee, it is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for the 7th HR Convention. First of all, I would like to propose a hearty vote of thanks and a deep sense of gratitude to our Chief Guest, Mr. Sodhi, for sharing his experience at Amul and his advice about how what Sardar Patel said about 70 years ago holds true, and that the basic success of Amul is derived on trust and faith. He also shared his thoughts on how to create an ageless organization. So thank you once again. I would also like to express our sincere appreciation to our keynote speaker, Mr. Adil Malia, for once again accepting our invitation, in spite of his gruesome schedule, to be a part of this convention. Sir, I sincerely thank you for being with us here today. Mr. Malia's address was a very thought-provoking and inspiring address. It was a real eye-opener as to how business is changing and how the HR fraternity needs to change, and that both are constant. Further, from both the addresses of today, I think it is very clear that each organization needs to have a bespoke structure for its HR. No organization can have the same structure or same model. An event like this involves great eminent speakers, and we are fortunate to have some of those with us. We are highly indebted to all our speakers who will be sharing their knowledge and experience with us today. In fact, it is their experience which will be our takeaway and help us evolve strategies for our own companies. Sincere thanks to all of them for sparing the valuable time. A heartfelt thanks to all the invitees who have honored us by accepting our invitation and joined us today. At the end, a most important aspect of the journey towards this 7th HR convention, I acknowledge our gratitude to Mr. Rahul Amin, Chairman and Managing Director of Jyoti, past President GEO, who in his tenure as the President started rolling the wheels to inspire this kind of an event with an objective to create a platform to facilitate an updation of HR intervention and networking among professionals and entrepreneurs. Friends, any program or event cannot be possible without the support of a team. I thank you, my team at GEO, the governing body, the organizing committee, and of course the staff of GEO. A special mention is to our convention director, Mr. Bhupender Singh, Senior Vice President, Reliance, and Shri S. Rajendra Piramal Glass Limited, whose relentless efforts have made this event possible. Last but not the least, our sponsors, Aeon Global, Engineum, Excel Process Engineering Systems, Ames Industries, Sea Linkages, Gujarat Fluorochemicals, Electrical Controls and Systems, and Gujarat Plug-in Devices, without whose financial support and this organization, this event would not have been possible. This time, we have a supporter who has extended her support in form of mementos, incredible landscape. And I thank Mrs. Twinkle Shah for her support. My heartfelt thanks to all of you for being a part of this event. You all who have joined us from various cities of Gujarat and motivated us for conducting such programs in future. I'm sure with such eminent speakers in line, it will be a wonderful and enriching day for all of us. Thank you.
With this, we have come to the conclusion of the inaugural session. Thanks everyone for your presence. As a token of gratitude, I request Mr. Bhupender Singh to present memento to our keynote speaker, Mr. Adil Malia. Please give a big round of applause. To present memento to our chief guest, Mr. R.S. Sodhi. Please give a big round of applause. presence and now let's have a quick 15 minutes networking and comfort break and reassemble by 11:30 for upcoming sessions. Thank you everyone for your presence in the inaugural session. Thank you. Mr. Vikram holds 27 years of professional experience across diverse sectors like IT, consulting, automotive, and healthcare. He has previously worked with big global Indian conglomerates and MNCs like Cipla, Reliance Industries Limited, Tata Motors, Deloitte, Satyam Computers, and Aditya Birla Group. Mr. Vikram is presently the Chief Human Resource Officer for the Piramal Group. He believes that he is a business leader first. This comes from having experienced two worlds, sales and HR. He built world-class e-animal practices in areas such as talent acquisition, leadership development, succession planning, managing high potentials, training, OD, and employee engagement. He also has expertise in mergers and acquisitions and leading change initiatives across different cultures and geographies such as Brazil, US, China, Japan, and Middle East. He has presented papers and has been awarded as the best speaker at the Global Learning Summit at Singapore in 2013. He is currently serving on the Executive Committee of the National HRD Network Mumbai chapter and holds an MBA degree in Marketing and Finance. He is certified as an Associate Certified Coach by International Coach Federation. Please put your hands together to welcome the towering personality, Mr. Vikram Beck.
Hi, good morning. Am I audible? The last premium class, that's all the popcorns and reclining chairs. So, good morning everyone, and I must thank the Geo Leadership Team for inviting me here. It's my first, and I must say right from having set foot here yesterday, very, very impressed with the cohesion, with the vision. This is obviously the 7th edition, so I feel privileged, and I hope with all the hype around what I'll be able to do, transform all the talent strategies, I don't disappoint you. I feel very pressured actually right now. With Adil setting the tone and with Bhupendra saying, you know, you will be getting all the magic tricks, I might actually be disappointing you, but one of the things I realized is that people don't learn from each other. So I'm not going to give you any best practices from my experiences. I find the biggest integration of thought, the biggest alignment could come from on first principles. So if it's okay with you, we'll talk a little bit about first principles. And the session is titled Managing Talent the Innovative Ways. So I hope, thank you, I hope that we will all spend about maybe, my time out is about 12:15. So maybe we'll spend about 35 minutes talking about it, and maybe certainly the last 5 to 10 minutes on questions, because I believe that the biggest clarification, the biggest exchange of ideas happens through questions. So hopefully there'll be some time to take some questions from you. But right now I'm still actually with the plenary session, my thought, I'm sure many of you are thinking, what a session. So I think what I really liked about were the two opposing ideas. And I think that reminded me of this quote by Scott Fitzgerald. I think it reads something like this. The sign of first-rate intelligence is when you can hold two opposing ideas in your head and still retain the composure to work. And I think I really feel blessed that we heard two ideas. One, the world is changing, and thank you, Adil, for setting the stage, because I think part of what my talk is really about how to cope with this changing world. And by the way, Adil and I, we traveled on the same flight, but trust me, we did not collaborate or collude. So it just, any resemblance is purely coincidental. And of course, to Mr. Sodhi about, I think he was underplaying the change, although they are still in the business of selling milk, but I think the way they've done it, the way they've innovated on some of the things is outstanding. So I think really you'll find that my talk is actually less about change, but I thought maybe we could explore this topic from three vantage points. One is at the core of talent is the talented person himself or herself. So let's first examine what do people think who are at the core, who we are supposed to manage, right? So what are their motivations and their drivers? And I'll probably take the help of a very famous study which most of you might have heard about, but it's good to revisit that. So the first part of my presentation is really about individuals, the talent we spoke about, and what do they think, what are their drivers, etc. The second is a little bit of future gazing around three types of organizations, which again has been researched by PwC, and they are positing that there could be three types of organizations, and within those three types of organizations would reside talent, and therefore how do you manage talent in those three types of organizations. And the third is really this whole notion of multiple generations. Today, I'm not sure in your company, but certainly in mine, we have almost 5 generations in the workforce, including those people who refuse to go out. But on a lighter note, we will be looking at more people who are healthier, fitter, who are 65, who will continue to work. I think, so we should look at how do we work with all the 5 or 6 generations in terms of inclusion. So we'll talk about that. And having said that, I think I also want to then disrupt the whole discussion, saying, okay, we went through it in a logical way, but the end, it's also a little bit of an antithesis, because what I want to propose to you is how all of what I'm discussing will not work. So we will talk a little bit about some disruption towards the end. So that's the flow, and I hope you're okay with that. And then maybe let me start with a bit of a thought starter here. I think I'm looking at sharing with you a 10-minute video. It looks long, but it talks about a very, very important study. This is how many of you heard of Daniel Pink? Anybody's heard of Daniel Pink? So good, I'm safe. We can talk about it. Daniel Pink talks about human motivation, especially what motivates people. And I think it's very important, especially for all the business owners who are in this group, because very often it examines the relation between money and motivation and productivity. I think that's very important. When does money become important, and when does money stop becoming important as we manage talent? So rather than giving away all of this work, let's just maybe deep dive. I hope technology works.
Our motivations are unbelievably interesting. I mean, I've been working on this for a few years, and I just find the topic still so amazingly engaging and interesting. So I want to tell you about that. The science is really surprising. The science is a little bit freaky. Okay? We are not as endlessly manipulable and as predictable as you would think. There's a whole set of unbelievably interesting studies. I want to give you 2 that call into question this idea that if you reward something, you get more than the behavior you want. If you punish something, you get less of it. So let's go from London to the mean streets of Cambridge, Massachusetts, in the northeastern part of the United States. And let's talk about a study done at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Here's what they did. They took a whole group of students, and they gave them a set of challenges. Things like memorizing strings of digits, solving word puzzles, other kinds of spatial puzzles, even physical tasks like throwing a ball through a hoop. Okay, they gave them these challenges, and they said to incentivize their performance, they gave them 3 levels of rewards. Okay, so if you did pretty well, you got a small monetary reward. If you did medium well, you got a medium monetary reward. And if you did really well, if you were one of the top performers, you got a large cash prize. Okay. We've seen this movie before. This is essentially a typical motivation scheme within an organization, right? We reward the very top performers, we ignore the low performers, and the other folks kind of in the middle. Okay, you get a little bit. So what happens? They do the test, they have these incentives. Here's what they found out. 1, as long as the task involved only mechanical skill, bonuses work as they would be expected. The higher the pay, the better the performance. Okay, that makes sense. But here's what happens. But once the task called for even rudimentary rudimentary cognitive skill, a larger reward led to poorer performance. Now this is strange, right? A larger reward led to poorer performance? How can that possibly be? Now what's interesting about this is that these folks here who did this are all economists, two at MIT, one at the University of Chicago, one at Carnegie Mellon, okay, the top tier of the economics profession. And they're reaching this conclusion that seems contrary to what a lot of us learned in economics, which is that the higher the reward, the better the performance. And they're saying that once you get above rudimentary cognitive skill, it's the other way around. Which seems like this kind of, the idea that these rewards don't work that way seems vaguely left-wing and socialist, doesn't it? It's kind of this kind of weird socialist conspiracy. For those of you who have those conspiracy theories, I want to point out the notoriously left-wing socialist movement